Joining me now via Skype from Ibadan is Olusegun Elemo, the Executive Director, Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative. Olusegun, it's good to have you join me right now. Now, there's the narrative of the poorest of the poor, or those who are vulnerable, or those who are poor living below the poverty line in Nigeria, has been on for so many years now. In fact, we remember the president in part of his inaugural speech was saying that he was ready to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty, which draws attention to how critical the issue is. Now, with this new report by the NBS, what do you make of it? It seems the numbers are even below what was originally expected.
Thank you for having me. I don't think the numbers are below what was expected, and I think we need to put in context. Of course, the NBS, said it's 2.9 million. That's about 40% of the entire population. The question is whether we have the actual. We need to conduct a census, of course. NBS has a way of aggregating the national population, but of course we need to conduct a census to verify that. And until we do that, we cannot say 40% it's 2.9 million.
Okay, but the point is, away from the numbers, where, okay, we talk about percentages and all of that, let's draw it close to the average Nigerian on the street. The point is, we see the realities from the north, from the south, from the east and west, everywhere. When you move out on the street, you see this thing staring you in the face. What strategy do you think that we are not adopting when it comes to actually handling poverty issues? Because this has been with us for a very long time. What is government not doing, or what are we not doing right?
So I think what has become clear with this latest NBS report is that there is poverty in the land, and the poverty in the land is so huge. Of course, it's also telling on how the government is responding to COVID-19 emergency right now. It's been very difficult to even implement the lockdown policy for 4 weeks. Even within that first 4 weeks, you see people flouting the orders to stay at home. And the reason is because our socioeconomic reality is clear. It cannot handle that kind of policy because people live on a day-to-day basis from hand to mouth. And we cannot continue to run a country like that, putting the lives of millions of people at risk. And that's exactly what we have done, and it is now staring us in the face, and you can see how we're responding to it. Even people now are saying that hunger virus is much more dangerous than coronavirus. I mean, it just tells you that their reality. They prefer not to go hungry than to stay at home in the guise of curbing coronavirus spread. Now, what the NBS has said is that 40% is living below the poverty line. What is that poverty line? We're talking about a $1 spending per day. Now, if you look at what happened in 2003, 2004, it was about 54.7%. In 2009, 2010, it was about 60%. Now, it's easy to think that 60% in 2010 and 40% in 2019, there's a drop in. There's no drop. Because even NBS itself has said that you cannot make comparison with that data because the methodology of that data, of collection, is quite different. While NBS had used a computer, assisted personal interview copy to collect the data they used in 2019. It was another kind of methodology that was used in 2003 and 2009. It was PAPI, which is paper and pen interview. Now the reality now is that when you look at what is happening today, the price of crude has dropped very sharply. What that means is that because even the federal government itself is now struggling to fund it better. You heard the Minister of Finance said a few days ago that from $57 benchmark, they are now looking at $20 benchmark. I mean, it's so we have a fiscal crisis on our hand. And what that is going to do to the poverty gap now is that it's going to widen the poverty gap because the federal government is going to struggle to spend. There will be inflation in the economy, and it is the poor of the poor that is now going to feel the heat. What you are going to expect in the numbers for 2020 is going to be kind of outrageous.
All right. Well, we still look forward to greater days somehow. A strategy has to come out somehow. Thank you very much, Olusegun Elemo, for your time on the program. It's joining me now via Skype from Ibadan is Olusegun Elemo, the Executive Director, Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative. Olusegun, it's good to have you join me right now. Now, the World Poverty Clock is saying that by 2030, if nothing is done and things are still going by the trend we have now, that Nigeria will have about 110 million poor people. That's over 50% of its population. Now, when it comes to the strategies and the steps to take, what should states be doing right now, and what should the government be doing right now? Strategies and the steps to take. What should states be doing?
So thank you. So I think government has been doing a few things right, particularly around the conditional cash transfer and the market money, the trader money. What it needs to do now is to ensure that it creates robust efficiency around those programs and ensure that the money actually goes down to those who need it the most. As from the data from NBS says that 52% of the poor people are from the rural areas, and government is already targeting that with some of these specialized interventions, the trader money, the market money, and all of the conditional cash transfer programs. Also, the statistics says about 18% are from the urban centers. What government needs to do is to create create the avenue for SMEs to thrive in the urban areas. If government is able to provide credit facilities for SMEs and provide enabling environment for businesses to thrive, provide infrastructure to support businesses, then these businesses will be able to gainfully employ some of those young people that are unemployed in the urban centers, and by that they're able to lift them to some degree out of poverty. I believe if some of these measures are put in place, then we should see the numbers going down. And again, you see that government now is now beginning to review the efficiency around government, cutting cost of governance, and for instance implementing the Olusegun report. I believe that report should be implemented to cut waste, cut unnecessary inefficiencies, and reduce corruption. If all of these measures are taken and implemented, then we can free up resources to do the needful.
All right, Olusegun Elemo, we have to leave you here now. Thank you so much for your time on the program. It's time.